Good evening. My name is John Presco. I'm coming to you live from Springfield, Oregon, and I'm going to be reading from Isaiah 61. This will be the third time that I've done it today. I did it on Facebook, and I did it with my camera, but I had trouble downloading it. And I'm looking at this image here. Here's a knight kneeling with a sword before an altar, and here are the pages delivering the electoral ballot. And I'm going to be reading from my phone, which I just turned on. I'm getting all kinds of signals here. So I started this process. Yeah, here they uh, are going to a hill outside Washington where there's a dark cloud because followers of Donald Trump, some who claim he's the embodiment of King David, stormed the Capitol building. And there's evidence that this was an insurrection, that they wanted to keep President Biden from taking the vow of office. There was talk about arresting and hanging and uh, uh, elected members of our government. Um, this morning, I read the message from Pope Francis saying that there is much divide going on in the world, that we are in danger of going to war. He could have made a reference to what's going on in this country. There's talk about a civil war uh, over this very issue up here. Um, for several years, I've been trying to solve the riddle of why they uh, grabbed Jesus after he read from Isaiah and tried to throw him off the cliff. There's a suggestion that he's the Paschal Lamb, but human sacrifice is forbidden. It was allowed at one time. I believe that's when the Jews were more allied with the Moabites, and Jesus was a descendant from the Moabite Ruth. So this is something that they might be practicing uh, with a candidate for the king of Moab. So I've been authoring a book on this for about 1 year, and I still keep coming across things that are answers to riddles that are swimming around my mind like a school of fish. Uh, the truth is the truth is the truth. So one thing I realized this morning, that Jesus does not read from Isaiah 61 at the beginning of his ministry, but at the end. They make it out that he's a novice that's been out in the wilderness for some reason. There's no talk that he's been tempted by the devil or Satan. There's no mention that he's observing 40 days of not eating. He's fasting, which is very, very key. This has to do with the 40 days and 40 years in the wilderness that the Jews spent after fleeing bondage in Egypt. So what Jesus is doing, it's the year of the Lord's favor. He's restoring the Jubilee that 75 years before he was born was done away with by the Sanhedrin, because I believe that candidates for king and or Messiah or both have referred to Isaiah 61 because it's the restoring of a kingdom that lie in ruin, and establishing of the year of where bond servants are released after 7 years indentured slaves, Uh, there's the debt scrolls are burned, and a Jew who's indentured himself to a fellow Jew is now free. And every 50 years, lands are returned uh, to the original owners. And this is because the Lord God uh, wanted to be the landlord in perpetuity. Uh, he didn't believe the Jews should own land uh, as only by his uh, Jubilee laws, which were done away with. So a lot of Jews were becoming landlords rather than servants of God. Um, okay, I'm going to get this out of the way. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. Strangers will shepherd your flocks, foreigners will work your fields and vineyards, and you will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God. You will feed on the wealth of nations, and in their riches you will boast. Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion. Instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. And you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. Consider the ode to joy. For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. In my faithfulness, I will reward my people and make an everlasting covenant with them. Everlasting covenant with them. Their descendants will be known amongst the nations, and their offspring amongst the peoples. All who see them will acknowledge that they are a people of the Lord, that the Lord has blessed. I delight greatly in the Lord. My soul rejoices in my God, for he has clothed me with garments of salvation and arrayed me in the robe of his righteousness. As a bridegroom adorns his head like a priest, and a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the soil makes the sprout come up, and a garden causes seeds to grow, so the sovereign Lord will make righteousness and praise spring up and praise spring up before all nations. That's what Jesus read. He didn't interject this other imputation that supposedly got the Jews irate with him, and thus they dragged him outside and tried to throw him off a cliff. That's an imputation, and you can go to my blog and read what they added. And St. Paul alters this teaching and replaces the original disciples, Jewish disciples, and followers Jesus with Greeks and Romans and what have you, eventually Norwegians. It says very clearly in Isaiah 61 that the Jews will repair the kingdom that was at its height with King David, and will rule other nations, be priests unto them all over the world, all over the known world. That's what it says. And when that didn't happen, for reasons I would explore in my book, The Double Portion, this prophecy had to be altered. And now it's unaltered this very day, Christmas Day, December 25th, 2021 at 8:01. This has been made right. The lie has been cast out. When you have prophecies of God and they don't come true, you have to move the date forward to a time when these prophecies will come true. And I have to say, that I might be the candidate for the King of England. The Orange Lodge and Order have a whole belief system in King David, and you can't have the Lord or your God be a liar, as in the case of many Christians, millions of Christians saying that Trump is the embodiment of King David, and therefore he can't lose the election. But he did. He did. And this has upset our democracy and millions of Christians in our democracy and other places in the world. And there is talk about another insurrection and even a civil war. And this is what has bid me to deliver this message on Christmas Day. Be those oaks of righteousness, you who understand. Have a blessed day, and tomorrow, and I will speak to you again on these matters. Bye.